have a good, credible election, and there'll be no controversy surrounding the declaration of results come December 2020.
It's good. A lot of people feel, though, that you are not listening to some of the arguments being made by civil society especially. And since you are the IT guy, maybe we'll focus on the IT parts of the argument, because there are other aspects, that political issues and stuff that have been raised.
Exactly.
So, at what point did you make a decision to procure new BVD, or the biometric verification system, which would then necessitate the register?
Okay. So basically, I'm glad that we need to decouple some of the issues and then focus largely on the technical aspect of things, which essentially has led to where we are now. The thing about the biometric voter management system is that it's been existing since 2011-12, where we used it for the first time. And we've used it successfully for a number of elections, right? But gradually, we came to realize that the system has been built, and the very various components that constituted the system had reached a stage where getting us to get meaningful use of them, especially for the upcoming 2020 elections, was taking too big a risk, and therefore there was a need to reassess the entire system to see if it would be suitable for the 2020 election. And that's exactly what was done. Now, this is something that has been on the table for quite some time now. Indeed, the previous vendors of the system, those who had been managing it since its inception, themselves indicated to the Electoral Commission that the system had reached a stage where it needed an upgrade to be done. And they provided very good reasons for why the upgrade needed to be done. So the Electoral Commission looked at it and said, okay, tell us how much it would cost for the system to be upgraded. And they did provide a price advice, if you like, for how much it will cost to have this thing done. The Electoral Commission independently had IT consultants who were actually involved in the first instance when we decided to do this, who came to help with the design of the system, etc. They looked at it, and then the recommendation essentially was that doing an upgrade of the system as it is, vis-a-vis building a new system, it made more sense both from the technological standpoint and the financial standpoint to get a new system rather than to rely on the old system as it existed.
Civil society is challenging you that
election.
The independent audit you are referring to, which was done in 2016, there was no such recommendation for an end-to-end replacement of the current infrastructure. And that if this is the case, publish that report, because you are claiming that the experts said there should be a replacement of the system. But you haven't shown us where they said that.
Right. So as far as I know, civil society is referring to a 2020 recommendation, a 2016 recommendation.
Yes.
The recommendation that came from the independent consultant was not in 2016. And when was it? We have said
when was it?
As far as I remember, I think it was done in 2018, I believe.
What's the name of this independent?
It's a gentleman called Dumia. His surname always escapes me, but yeah, we can.
Who appointed this person?
The Electoral Commission, please.
And what was their term of reference?
Well, the term of reference, as I've already said, was to reassess the system as is, because, mind you, a proposal had been put on the table to upgrade the system. Okay, so he was brought in to look at the system as is, see where the faults were, and then see whether it made sense to actually do an upgrade as was being proposed, or and in fact that's essentially what his remit was.
And what was his reason for recommending that? Well, as you claim, there should be an end-to-end replacement of the whole system.
Okay, Ben, and I think you need to look at it, as I've said, that the proposal on the table then was to do upgrades and replacement of some systems.
Yes.
But the cost that was involved, and then the difficulties, the technical challenges that we would have faced if we decided to go along the upgrade path, the two reasonings put together made it a more viable option to put in a new system. And here are the reasons why. You know that I'm sure you've seen the BVR kits, for instance, right? They've been there since 2012. A majority of them have broken down. In fact, indeed, at our last count, the only ones that we could actively refurbish for use were like about 1,000. Indeed, for the last limited registration exercise, we're able to refurbish just about 1,000 for us to use for those that exercise. Now, this equipment we are talking about, a lot of the component parts have broken down. The computers themselves that are used for the registrations, we've had to cannibalize some of them to fix them so that they can be used in the field. Okay, the various component parts like the fingerprint sensors, the cameras, even the batteries, which ensure that we have a long enough runtime to use them in the field, have all run out. Remember that these batteries are easily approaching 10 years of use.
But the device is not used every day. In fact, if you look at our electoral calendar, I can say to you that those things have not been used more than 10 times. Now, you've procured something for in excess of 60 million, and you're using it less than 10 times, and you're telling me that the thing is obsolete. Meanwhile, in 2016, you spent millions of dollars to upgrade the same system. So if you say you procured in 2011, use it in 2012, you spent millions of dollars, and the breakdown is given here on different things, all amounting to...
I'm sure you are quoting from the money document.
No, it's not in the money, it's the public document. So the comment I make is that if you procure something in 2016, 2011, you spend money to upgrade it in 2016, it's not a device you use every week. So if you are making a cost-saving argument, how do you convince me that something that you bought in 2011, 2012, spent millions of dollars to upgrade in 2016, all of a sudden you realize in 2018 that based on some recommendation by some consultant, we should throw away the whole thing and buy a new one? Whereas the same thing, you used it even this year to organize a smaller election. How do you convince me that that's prudent use of money?
Bernard, so here's the thing. You have a system that, per your assessment, you say we haven't used that often. But it is not the frequency of use, but how the system has been used and the conditions under which these systems have been used. The evidence of it is for you to walk to the EC warehouse now and inspect those devices. Then you get to appreciate that those devices are broken, they are not working, and they're in bad shape. So it is not that we've used them 10 times.
All of them or some of them?
That's why I said that out of the 6,500 that were supposedly in circulation, we currently have less than 1,000 that we can confidently say can be used. And these are the ones that have been refurbished over a period of time. Contrary to what is out there, that the EC has actually procured additional BVR devices. That is not true.
So how many did you use for the recent election?
No, you see, there are the BVDs, which are the verification devices, and then there's the BVR, which is the registration device. The registration device, as I speak now, we have just about 1,000 that we can confidently see.
And how many do you need?
Currently, the estimates to be able to do a full registration is 8,000.
Good. So you need 7,000 more.
We need 7,000.
What about the verification device?
The verification device, the estimates that we require, and the verification devices, here's how we arrive at the numbers. We have, at the last count, we have about 32,000 polling stations. Okay. On election day, you need one BVD device and a spare.
Per polling station?
Per polling station.
So that's double.
And a spare. So that's double. All right. So that brings it up to easily, what,
64,000.
64,000 thereabouts. Okay. And then we have additional spares that are used for training, etc., etc. And then we build in some contingencies. So that's where we have about the 80,000 that we are talking about. Okay. For the last DLE, for instance, it took us about between 5-6 months just refurbishing the ones that we had. And it took us, we had to, I think that is out there that we spent about 2 million Ghana cedis just refurbishing them. And we had just enough to cover the polling stations that are within.
Because only 3 districts didn't vote. So in my mind, all districts in Ghana voted.
Yes.
So the election, even though the turnout wasn't that high, it was still a national election.
It was a national
so
election.
You had enough biometric verification devices.
We had just enough to give each polling station one biometric verification device and some spares.
Good.
That's just in case.
So why do you need to throw away all of that and buy a new set? Why don't you just buy the difference? If you're saying that you had just enough to do the polling stations that were opened plus a few spares, you need about 80,000 based on your own calculation. So at least you had 32,000.
Yes.
So why don't you say, well, we are going to buy some spares to top up? Your proposal is that you're going to get new BVDs.
Yes. Because
which I don't understand.
Because when you look at the numbers that were being offered by the previous vendor to get additionals, when you compare it to getting a new one, it made much more sense. Mind you, we also had problems with the census, and which was what was leading to a high rate of failure on verification. So, putting all those things together, the technical aspect and the financial aspect, it made sense for us to invest in a newer equipment.
I still don't get it. The fact that you have equipment that you used in the election, the equipment didn't bring an error in the election to the extent that the results were rejected.
Exactly.
You are telling me that you have to throw all that away and buy new ones. Now, why can't you? And you are saying because somebody offered you a high price for the replacement. Now, do you have to use the same vendor? If somebody is offering you a price that is too high, can't you just say, well, we have 32,000 or whatever thousand, 50,000, and we need 30,000 left?
Yes.
Why don't we look for the 30,000 left? But you're going to throw away the 32,000 to now buy a new 80,000.
Herein lies the problem of the system as it has been designed. And this is what we keep on saying over and over and over again. The system itself, as it was inherently designed, had resulted in a state where the Electoral Commission was in a state of vendor lock-in. Or the systems are such that I cannot walk to another vendor and say, give me a BVD device and let me use against an existing database. All right, because the templates that the fingerprints were stored in, for instance, were proprietary. And so it's easy. You see, it's not as easy as, say, I'm converting a Word document to, say, an open document format. Even that one, when you do it, there's some data loss. And then when you're doing it in your Microsoft Word application, it tells you that when you go through this process, you will lose some data. So it's not as simple as that.
You have the data.
Yes, you have the data.
You were able to use it for an election this year.
You were able to use it
last year.
You were able to use that data in an election using the same vendor equipment.
Fine, which means you've overcome the problem of vendor locking.
No, we haven't overcome the problem of vendor lock. What we did was that ever since the vendor left, we've managed to manage the system as is to be able to do an election based on what we have. We use the same equipment that the old vendor left us to be able to achieve that purpose. And mind, like I said, we had to go back and refurbish them.
Which is why we pay you. So that's a good job.
Yes.
We'll give you an award for that.
But you do that.
Why do you need to then say?
But you do that. You do that for a district level election at a risk. And during that period, we were all on tenterhooks.
Really?
Because you didn't want a case that one device fails, another device fails, and now you are sitting and wondering, how am I going to get the device to get it done?
Have you done a report analyzing the district level elections and what issues occurred? Will you share that report to the public?
That's what we've said.
No, we need to, you see, just to say that anybody can say anything.
Yes.
You've done a whole election.
Yes.
Which is like a pilot for a national election.
Yes.
You said you spent 2 extra million CDs getting ready to make this device.
And I'm sure the report.
Have you produced a report that tells us where the challenges are and
I'm sure
possible paths to resolve it?
The elections department I think it's something that they do standardly. They give out a report. In fact, I'm aware, because they rely largely on the IT department for information with regards to failure rates, the problems that occurred, and that data is currently being gathered. And I'm sure that once it is done, it will be culminated into a report which will be presented to the commission, and I'm sure the commission would very well like to share it with the general public.
4 minutes past 8. My guest is Yao Foreje. He's the IT consultant for the EC. We're talking to him about the technical basis for the need for a new biometric voter verification system and also a new voters register. He's in the person of Yao Foreje Ajay, sending questions and comments, and I'm going to read some for him. But I just wanted to clarify what we've heard so far. So you're saying that we procured a system from STL in 2011. It helped us run a few elections, but the system was designed such that without STL you can't use it. That's the first thing, the software. Number two, STL will only upgrade the existing system at a cost which is many times higher than buying a new system.
Correct.
So there's no point in going back to STL since the cost they are charging us is higher than what we would get if we got a new system. Number three, you're saying that their system is not even very good because in studying the system, we realized that there were so many inherent problems. So you had to do extra work and spend extra money to use it in the last election, 2019 election.
2019.
That's number three. And you're saying that because the 2019 election is smaller than the 2020 election, you can't risk using a system that is not that solid for this big election. So that's number four. So now you are going to procure a new system from scratch. Your argument is that the new system you are procuring is much cheaper than the old system upgrade.
Exactly.
And you are saying that new system will be managed and controlled by our people.
Correct.
Not any vendor.
Not any vendor.
So it solves a long-term problem for us.
Exactly.
And therefore, and then you're also saying that you have time enough to do it. You've given yourself a calendar of mid-April to end May.
Yeah.
To do this.
Yeah.
So Ghanaians should agree with you. Fair enough. The questions are many. Some people were wondering if, because there are two parts of the system. There's the verification device and the registration kit. We use...
And then there's a third part, which is the middle part that glues everything together.
Good.
Yeah.
The verification device was used for this year's election.
Yeah.
At least 32,000 are available because we have 32,000 polling stations.
Yeah.
Why can't you store the 32,000 you used in this election as a backup? So even if you're going to buy new BVDs, why don't you keep the ones you use for this recent election as some sort of backup so that the new ones you buy, which may be fresher, can then be the main one used? But you are proposing to buy new everything because the numbers you give now shows that you are buying both one per polling station plus one spare and other spares for training. Why can't you keep the ones we have and then just buy a top-up?
Well, Bernard, for starters, I don't think that we are planning just for 2020 general elections. The verification devices, I believe, will be used for other elections to come, not necessarily the 2020 general election. Okay, so if you are going to get new devices, you just won't plan for 2020. You would plan for 2020 and beyond. And it is important for you to harmonize the devices that you use. You see, when I walked into the Electoral Commission, as naive as I was, there were certain things that I took for granted that could be done, and any reasonable person would understand. But you can imagine that you have two different verification devices, and there's a problem. It is easy, and you would agree with me, it is easy for the general public to say, hey, it was this device that they brought that created the problem, and then the other one didn't create the problem. Well, it could be me vice versa. Now, the new device did it well, and then the old device didn't do it well. So, there are going to be problems. And it is important that when you have a national exercise like this, that the playing field is even, and there are no perceptions that one people are using one kind of device, another people are using another kind of device. So that is some of the political reasoning that went into deciding that instead of having disparate systems where people will now start querying, why are you bringing me this device? Or why are we using this device for a backup? It is better for us to have a uniform system that everybody
aren't we
agrees with.
conflating a device with a system? Because a machine that you put your finger on to verify that this is Bernard Avle,
Yes.
is a machine. So if you have 32,000 of those machines sitting down,
Yes.
and you need to buy extra 32,000 for backup, the fact that my brand may be Sony and yours is Ericsson doesn't change anything.
I agree with you.
So
perfectly.
why are we making it seem as if once you buy a new machine, it means you are creating a new
I have
system?
given you a political reason or a political reasoning that went into the thought that it's better to have a harmonized system. Now there are technical reasons. The technical reasons that we have offered you essentially is that the BVD devices as we have now, we are experiencing a high rate of failure verification of failure of verification on election day, which is resulting in the manual verification.
That was
process.
0.6%. You have
was,
5.
That figure came only from the DLE.
Yes,
and
but
that DLE
it's a percentage.
It's a percentage.
So you have 5.3 million voters or something.
Yes.
30,000 people were manually verified.
Exactly.
That is less than 1%.
Exactly.
That is acceptable everywhere.
No, but the point you are making is that this is a DLE where it didn't have a huge turnout. There's no telling the rate at which the failure rate would have encountered if we had a full out turnout.
But that's why we pilot things. So you can even say that your DLA was a pilot, so that the lessons you drew, you would then implement.
Yes, but this is where we are saying that even based on those findings that we had, and mind you,
a 0.6% manual verification, you are going to throw away the whole system.
Sometimes we and I'm saying that we looked at this DLE, and the 0.6% is coming from the DLE exercise. All right, that's for that particular election was about 34,000.
Yes.
Okay. Now we have had elections that were determined by just 40,000 votes. Okay, between the winner and then the loser. Now, my understanding from the elections people is that manual verification process can easily be compromised because it takes a human being, 2 human beings, to confirm that you, Bernard Avle, are who you say you are.
But the law makes provision for that.
Yes, the law makes provision for that. All the EC is seeking to do now is to sort of tighten the process so that we limit the number of times that the manual verification process has to go on. And to do that, we need to ensure that the fingerprint templates that we generate are of high quality. And we are saying that even if the fingerprint fails, we are adding another modality, which is the facial recognition. The facial recognition, contrary to what people have been saying, is not supposed to replace the fingerprint. So there is going to be a step. So first, fingerprint. If fingerprint fails, the next thing under normal circumstances that we will do is that we will do a manual verification.
So you are saying that now a machine can do the second phase of facial verification more than the electoral officer and 2 witnesses? Because essentially, if the system as it runs now, if I go and I put my fingerprint and it doesn't work, they will say, okay, you say you are Bernard Avle. Who is your MD? I call this person from my constituency and I call my uncle and they come. They look on the diary. They compare my face to what is on that picture. And based on the evidence given by those 2 people, this is Bernard Avle. He goes to vote. You are saying that a machine will do that instead of the 2 human beings
because
and the picture in front of me.
Because a machine is now going to look at your facial signature and compare it with what is on the record.
Have you piloted this anywhere?
Facial recognition has been used extensively in forensics, in border control systems. In elections, yes, there have been some. I think the Somalis did it.
Somalia?
Yes. But the point I'm making is that it is technology that has been used and has been verified. Law enforcement,
not on the scale that you want to use it.
Yes, but Bernard, that's what you are saying, that the scale that we want to use it, that's why we are saying that we are not using it as the primary. We are using it as a backup and to take out the human element of going through.
But you can't take out the human element of any election because
you can't.
All the systems that you are using, human beings have to manage those systems.
Exactly. But the point is that you are limiting the human interventions that need to be involved. Because mind you, facial recognition is apolitical.
But facial recognition is not 100% certain.
We are not saying it is 100% certain. What we are saying is we want to limit the number of times that we have to go through a manual verification process, because that manual verification process is not without adventure.
So that's the added advantage of bringing that facial recognition merit the extra cost of procuring new devices.
So Bernard, here's the thing. All new biometric verification devices that are being produced now come with cameras. Now that functionality already exists. So there's nothing wrong with leveraging a feature that is available to help improve your electoral system. I don't know whether you think otherwise, but if the functionality is already present, why not use it?
There's been a claim that UC has not been transparent in the process, that you met stakeholders in December last year to discuss this new system. But as far back as April 2019, you had already started the process of publishing a tender for BVMs. Now, if you want to consult people, because you also tested me that some of the reasons you are adducing are political and some are technical. So even though you're a technical man, you comfortably use political reasons to justify what you're doing, which means that you needed some sort of political understanding to proceed. So why are you in April making plans to procure, or at least publishing a tender for new BVMS, whilst you are now meeting people in December?
Well, I think that we need to put things into proper context. The April date that has been said, indeed, I think was the first publication for an expression of interest, or if you like, pre-qualification. Okay. Now, at that time, it had become evidently clear that we seriously needed to consider getting a new system in place. The EC has been transparent in all its processes leading up to the invitation of the CSOs and indeed the political parties to attend an exhibition of sorts, or a demonstration of the possible solutions that the vendors that had been pre-qualified for the tender had come to demonstrate.
Did you ever publish a short list of tenders?
No, a short list of tenders, as in from the pre-qualification.
Yes.
I don't believe that was done. But then,
so how can you say that you've been transparent? What does transparency mean to you? If you are doing a process which is of a national significance like this, you've done a expression of interest.
I will leave the procurement experts to answer this question. But I've been doing this in a private capacity for the past 20 years in this country.
Good.
I have never come across a point where lists, or at least nobody has ever shared with me a list of tenders and pre-qualified tenders and all the tenders that have participated.
No, but you said you've been transparent throughout.
Yes,
and I'm asking
the transparent process that we have.
So what's transparent? All you've done?
So at every stage, we published that there was a pre-qualification. Interested parties should come. I've heard civil society organizations and other people say they never heard of it. But adverts were actually put out in the dailies about these things. Lots of people, even people from the international community, came to the Electoral Commission to inquire about this process. Now, what stops civil society organizations and other organizations who are screaming foul from coming to the EC to collect these documents? These documents were available.
They don't need to come to you because you are making an argument that
yes,
the system you are procuring, number one, is better than the previous system.
Yes.
And number two, it will save us money.
Yes.
Which means that inherent in your policy is cost savings.
Exactly.
So you should tell us, the people who bid, what were the various advantages and disadvantages of the system they proposed? What were the cost differentials to back the case you are making for cost savings?
Okay.
You have not done that.
So
yet you say we should believe you that you want to save us money. We don't know who put in a bid. We don't know what was the basis for the selection. And yet we just believe you because you are saying it's transparent.
Well,
why should we do that?
Well, Bernard, if you had the opportunity to look at the pre-qualification documents and the criteria that was in there, it's all clearly spelled out who qualifies to bid. And they were clear. Those documents are available. If you want to have them, they can easily be shared with you.
We don't need to want to have them. You are making an argument that you want to save us money. So you should publish it and tell us that ABC made bids. This person will give it to us at 2 million. This person said 4 million. This person said 8 million. Because don't forget, there's also a list of the cost of the kit for various countries, which is claiming that your cost is overbloated. In fact, they've published a list of Zimbabwe, of Nigeria, and all other places.
I'm glad.
So my point is that if you are saying that the thing that you are doing is going to save us money,
yes,
and you are claiming that you have been transparent,
yes,
it shouldn't be us who will come and ask you to come and tell us who bid, what was the pre-qualification, how much did they propose. It should be part of the process.
But that's what I'm saying, that there are procurement processes that happen in this country. All right. And I threw a question back at you and I said that, where have you seen that in a procurement process that is going on? And I'm sure you know lots of them, that they have come out to say that A, B, C, and D. It is usually those who buy the documents and participate in the process that get this information. What we are saying is that that information is readily available for anybody who wanted to have access to it. Now, you made mention of Zambia. And I keep saying that, Zimbabwe, sorry. I keep saying that you need to compare apples with apples, not apples with oranges. What devices were used in Zambia? I've also heard about Kenya, and I'll zone down on a Kenya scenario. The Morpho tablets that were used in Kenya, have you seen them? They are a device that has just a single fingerprint. It is different from ours that has a 442 fingerprint slap, which takes 4 fingers at a time. I'm sure you've done your registration. It takes 4 fingers at a time, 4 fingers and then 2. The reason why you can't compare apples with oranges is that the population that was used for that Kenyan experiment was about 8 million. Currently, as we speak now, we have 17 million on an electoral roll.
Kenya has more people in Kenya than the population of Kenya is like 150% of the population of Ghana. Ghana has 30 million people. Kenya has over 45 million people.
Yes, but for that exercise, and you can check that, the numbers that they had registered at that time, I'm talking about, I'm making reference to what they've made reference to, where it was used. So basically, if you want to register more people, right, and the time frame that you need to adopt a different technological approach.
So what about Nigeria?
What was being used.
Nigeria's devices cost 1,770. Are you saying that we are more than Nigeria too?
No, I'm not saying that. If that Nigeria's device costs how much?
$1,770.
For which device?
Well, the device they use for their
biometric
verification device.
But that's the other thing. The figures that we are giving you
Yes.
are not just for the BVR kits.
What's it for?
They are actually for the entire components. They are focusing on just a single device. Now, what we have, not just the BVR registration.
Kit.
Now I'm coming, but that's what I'm saying. That they are once again they are comparing apples with oranges. They are looking at the device itself.
No, they're looking at the kit.
No, I'm coming. I know what I'm talking about. When they make the comparisons, they are making comparisons on the device, but the kit consists of printers. The kits that when we refer to our kits, it consists of printers, it consists of battery backups, it consists of a rugged casing, IP67 casing. So that when the people who travel on the rivers and the difficult to reach areas, if the cases drop, we can still pick them up for them to use. That's what I'm saying. And when people make these arguments, they should make these arguments in the context within which we are using the devices for. Not that you're going to see that a morpho tablet.
No, they've given you about 7 countries where
and I'm saying
different kinds of
I agree with you.
Kits
perfectly.
were used. You are sitting here saying that your kit includes printers and backup batteries. So are you
not
telling
just
me that
printers, backup batteries,
and what
the
else?
scanners are different.
Good. So you're saying that Nigeria or Kenya will buy a BVR system without a backup battery?
That's what I'm saying. The people who are making those comparisons are making comparison based on figures for the device, not for the entire kit.
Have you checked?
And I have, and I threw a challenge.
So what is the cost of our device simpliciter? Taking out the printer and the backup battery and the scanner.
If I were to,
so we can compare it with the 1,007.
Okay, let's do a simple mathematics.
Good.
Okay, what are the constituents of the kit? Our kit currently consists of a laptop computer, right? Now, off the top of your head, your laptop computer, one, and not just any laptop computer, because you're not looking at a laptop computer that is for home use. You're looking for something that can walk the mile. Okay, averagely, let's say for what it's worth, it starts at $1,000 for one. Okay, now you also have a camera. Say a camera is $90 or $80 or whatever it is. Okay, then you have the 442 Appendix F fingerprint scanner. The cheapest I have seen for that scanner is about $800.
So 1,090, 800. So you're $1,890.
Yes, $1,890. Now we have to talk about even your backup battery. You, for what it's worth, say a backup battery is about 100. Okay, and then we have a printer in there.
Depends on what kind of printer it is.
Oh,
let's give it printers.
So. Yes, so let's say what 200, 250. Where are you now?
So you're around $2,200. You still not $3,500.
Now your case, your IP65 case.
I see.
Yes.
How much will that cost?
That will place maybe give and take about $400.
Fine. So
where does that
2,500, 2,600.
Okay. Now that is your FOB price.
And how did you get 3,500 from your own calculation?
No, that is your
free on board. So you are going to now add cost, insurance, and freight.
Exactly.
That then moves it to 3,500.
No, nobody has said 3,500. We said 3,000.
I see.
Yes.
Now my question is: I'm happy you've even broken this down.
Yeah.
So we have bought 32,000 laptops, bought 32,000 cameras, bought 32,000.
Referring to the BVRs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now you put all this together. Don't you have some of the components already there that you can use? So, for example, do you need to buy the whole kit as a set? You have computers. You use the computers less than 10 times. Can't you say, that's the laptops? The laptops are there.
The frequency of use of the computers do not directly correlate.
My point is that the system is an assembly of different things that you put together.
Yes.
So you're saying that, I'm asking, there are parts of the system that are still good that you can use. that you can then buy the components that are bad. So, for example, if you have problem with cameras, you can then buy the cameras. But you can't tell me that all the laptops that you bought and upgraded in 2016 all of a sudden have become so useless that
Bernard,
by 2020 we have to throw them all away.
Bernard, the point I'm making is that there were no upgrades in 2016. There were refurbishments. And that's the fallacy.
Is that not nomenclature? No? Refurbishment, upgrade, what's the difference?
No. And that's the point you are making. How are you going to upgrade a laptop? If you're upgrading a laptop, what are you upgrading?
In 2016, you did, let me show you what it said. Continuous upgrading and enhancement model in figures. 8th February 2016, supply of biometric voter registration kit components and ancillary services, 4.3 million. This is 2016. 7th 7/4/2016, voter management system upgrade and rollout training, 1.1 million. 5/7/2016, preparation of BVD and ancillary services, 14.3 million. 5/7/2016, construction of prefab district office. Okay, these are not related. You even did, you bought Toyota Hilux vehicles, and then you did payment for supply of Xerox printers. So you spent $137,000 on printers, and then voting screens, 12 million. So my point is, and all this is 2016. So all of a sudden, all these printers are useless.
No.
All of a sudden, all these kits
Bernard,
are useless.
See, and once again, that's what I'm saying, that you need to take this whatever it is that you are reading, and I think I know where that is coming from, which is why I brought
this is false.
And there's a lot of falsehood in what has been put out there, and the Electoral Commission will respond to
So let me
it.
ask specifically: the EC did not spend $137,000 in May 2016 as an advance payment for supply of Xerox printers. You did not.
Xerox printers have been bought. As to when they were purchased, I can't confirm, but Xerox printers have been bought.
And mind you, advance payment. It means that the printer even came after this date.
And mind you, the Xerox printers are not one of the things we are calling obsolete. We're specific in the items that
printer in the thing.
The printer is the printer that we carry around to produce your ID card for you.
It's different from this one.
It's different. The Xerox printers are enterprise printers that we use to print the voter register for exhibition and all that.
Fair enough. So that's different. Right? What about supply of biometric voter registration kit components and ancillary services? 4.3 million.
You see, that's what I'm saying. That I have here now. Yes. And when this argument came up, we went and looked at what had actually happened. And I'll tell you that in 2016, the only purchases that were made was for a VMS system. And that one was voter management system, upgrade, software development, integration and testing, and then rollout training. So these figures that are being put out by civil society organizations, they've been queried and they'll be responded to.
I thought it's a good chance to respond to them.
No, it's not. I'm not in a position to give you that,
because they are making this is a technical thing.
No.
There's nothing on this paper that is political. No. They are saying that we are wasting money because our EC is
they've made a statement on procurement.
Yes,
and they've made that statement. They've used that statement to back a position.
Yes, because the procurement.
So the procurement people are responding to that.
So I should go and call the procurement people.
They will get. You don't have to go and call them. They will respond to it, and you will get a response.
But you should not forget that all the procurements are based on technical arguments, which is what you are.
And that's
you
what,
an IT person.
That is what I'm telling you.
It is what you tell the IT. It's what the IT people recommend that the procurement people go and do.
So once again, Bernard, you are going back into history.
Okay.
History that has occurred when I per se was not there. But the point I'm making is...
What do you mean you were not there? As in 2016, you were not there?
Yeah. But the point I'm making is that...
So when did you join EC?
I started working with the EC in May of 2019.
Oh.
Yes.
May of 2019.
Exactly. But the point I'm making is that there's enough historical evidence, if you like, to support all these allegations that are being made and to debunk them.
Okay. The new people you are going to buy the stuff from, who are they?
We do not know yet.
Have you shortlisted anybody?
So the procurement process is ongoing.
How many people have been shortlisted?
Currently now, for the biometric, the BVR, BVD kits, there are 4 companies that have been shortlisted. That's
4 companies. Yes. Are they local or foreign?
They are foreign companies with local counterparts.
When will you decide which one to... When will the procurement process end?
I think that's give and take. Within a week, that procurement process should be done.
Will we know the identity of these 4 people before you buy from them?
Oh, I think the identity of those 4 people, those 4 companies have already been... is out there because they came for the demonstrations that civil society and the rest of the general public, plus the political parties, were invited to witness.
I was reading an Imani document. You say the document you respond to appropriately. Let me put Franklin Kujo on to make a quick reaction before I come back to you as we wrap up. My guest is Yao Ofori-Adjei. Lots of questions are coming in for you, but I want to bring in Imani because they have sort of been consistent in the arguments they've been making. Franklin, thanks for joining us. Good morning.
It's a pleasure, Bernard. Good morning to your listeners.
Great. I can guess you have some intervention to make because of the nature of the conversation with Mr. Ofori-Adjei.
Yes, I'm just perplexed, quite amazed that the gentleman who just joined the EC in May 2019 is trying to make recollections of things the EC itself has done, for which he has no clue. And unfortunately, he's just lying through his speech. Look, the discussions about the BVTs and BVRs, the comparator countries we brought up, are not just for the kids. There's a system. So let's not make it look as if we were just picking figures and just throwing them about. First of all, you have...
So sorry, you are saying that the document, the list of countries, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, and co., and the amounts you put there was not just the BVD, but the whole kit.
Of course, it's the cost of running the biometric system, in spite of whether there were 3 fingers, 4 fingers, or not. Look, as we speak, Niger is trying to do something similar, and while they are, in fact, the EU is trying to give them about 20 million euros for it. They claim it's going to cost them to run the entire elections about 130 million euros. And the donor partners are saying, well, we won't give you that money because we don't think you need the entire system as you think, as you are saying. Because they realize that countries are beginning to use the biometric systems as an excuse to inflate the cost of elections. So I just called because I wanted to make that clarification, that the gentleman is not serving Ghanaians the truth by suggesting that the comparator countries we put out there were using defective systems and were using partial systems. This is the cost of delivering the election. And I'm sorry, please, nobody invited civil society to come and witness the RFQs or the vendors that have been that were pre-qualified. Nobody did anything of the sort. So this whole process has been one huge opaque system, and Ghanaians are listening to him. I'm just trying to tell him that while I'm not making this personal, I think his personal integrity is at stake. The questions you're asking him, the responses he's giving, it's not serving his professional purpose, and I don't think it's helpful at all. Look, but in all of this, what annoys me is that we are even speaking after the fact. The EC was set to go ahead and discard all the investments we've made into systems they had used to deliver 4 elections in far back as 2018. And now we are having the conversation after the fact. The EC has said they've set the date already. So for me, never underestimate the determined mind of a tax waster. He will definitely, or he or she will definitely go ahead and do it. It's a travesty. You know,
right.
We've time. So I'm sorry, I only called to intervene.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. So let's go forward now. I'm going to read some questions I've received for you.
Bernard, I think that is important that
you respond to him.
Yes.
Okay. Respond to him, please.
So, I mean, I'm equally perplexed that civil society will take the stand. And it is untrue that civil society was not invited to this demonstration. They actually did come. Some of the civil society organizations did come for that demonstration. Okay. So if Imani and the others didn't show up, I can't explain why they didn't.
Fair enough.
And I keep saying, I've said this to some of the Imani colleagues, that if they want to make comparisons, they should base the comparisons on facts. And I've said, give me what you claim that you have done for the other African countries, so that we'll look at it. And then we can sit down as two bodies.
But have you given us the so-called consultant report in 2018?
The consultant report
that is recommending that we should buy a whole new end-to-end. Have you given that to us?
Trust me, what I've said is that the commission is ready to share that with you. But the point is,
not with me, with the public.
With the public,
because
yes.
That's the basis for what you are doing.
Exactly, and
so
they will
where's
do
the
that.
report?
They will do that.
But you are already doing procurement. If you want to convince us that what you are doing is kosher and based on fact, why are you saying if I want the report I should have it? I'm saying that this has been said
And the commission has said they will make it available.
Why do we need to go through Parliament to get it?
No, you don't have to.
So why is it? What's keeping you from publishing it?
I'm sure that the commission will share it with you. Okay. It's not in my position.
Let's move on
to say that.
Part of the new thing you want to do is get a new data center.
Yes.
When I listened to your 31st December press conference.
Yes.
Why do you need a new data center?
Well, Bernard, you remember we said that our data center that we currently have now inherently has a lot of problems. It's not just the data center infrastructure that is there, but also the equipment that are running within the data center. As far some of them have expired support as far back as 2014, and indeed now as we speak, we are having to cannibalize certain parts to keep the data center up and running. And we cannot afford to have a system that is running on its one leg to support the registration exercise that we are coming to.
But you know, NITA has a 3-tier data center that can house all your systems.
Yes, so that discussion has been had.
And what did NITA tell you?
And the point that we are making is that based on the nature of the processes that we have, they are listen, like I said once again, we cannot do this without political considerations, because the general remember that NITA is government controlled.
Yeah.
Yes. And
but by law, NITA's mandate is to provide in fact, almost all state agencies with with quality and stable infrastructure for their. So NITA is grounded in law. It's not like somebody's discretion.
Agreed. But the point we are making is that once again, we have to deal with the perception of people.
What perception? There's not a perception that you are bent on doing what you want to do anyway.
Agreed.
So why don't you save us cost by using NITA? Why do you want to say? And the other point is that how long does it take to establish a data center?
How long does it take?
Can you do a data center before elections? Because I'm told that it takes at least 2 years to build a proper data center.
Bernard, I have built data centers. I've easily built 6-7 data centers in my life.
For what capacity? What size of data?
Bigger than what we are building for the EC, and it took me just 8 weeks to do it.
I see. How much did you charge for that? And let's compare that to what EC is saying you are going to use.
The other thing that needs to be said is that money that EC is building it for, which is the $6 million.
$6 million.
It's not just for a data center. It's for 2 data centers and then equipping of the district offices.
But you have NITA already.
Yes.
You have a massive data center sitting there doing nothing.
Yes.
Why don't you just go and put the data there?
We can do that. But the point you are making is that considering some of the things that we need to do, we feel that it is best for us to have absolute control.
You're talking about sovereignty. How sovereign can you get beyond NITA? You said that somebody, STL, was controlling data that belonged to us, and you want to make us sovereign. NITA, we spend money to put up a national IT infrastructure.
Correct.
Technically competent people.
Correct.
Yet you will spend $6 million to create your own data center separate from NITA. So when we are doing, and don't forget that government policy is also to integrate all data sets. We have NIA doing work somewhere. And the idea is that eventually we'll put all our data in the same place. And you are saying that in 2020, you will still spend $6 million to build a separate data center.
But that's the point I'm making, that we need to look at the issues. There are 2 things. It's not just a data center that is being built. But within that contract, you have other things that is in there.
Like what?
They have servers. The servers that are going to be used, the networking equipment. We are also looking at.
But data center always have servers. I don't know what you're saying.
No, you see that's the thing.
So you have servers. Is it some special servers?
Exactly. The servers that we use for matching the fingerprints, they are not just any server that you pick off the road. Okay.
Specialized EC server.
No, not specialized EC server. But the point you are making is that the specifications are a bit on the high side compared to your regular everyday server. But you see, the point you are making is that $6 million that you are talking about, it's not just for it's not just for the physical infrastructure. It consists of servers, and it also consists of the network equipment that will require to connect all our 260 district offices to the data center.
And so this, I know it's funny. You're saying you can build a data center in 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Yet you are also saying that the data center you are building is not a normal data center. So in essence, how are you contradicting yourself? So if you build data centers which are larger in 8 weeks, yet you're saying that the type of data center you are building requires extra types of servers for the kind of...
No, but Bernard, the procurement of servers is different from the actual physical build. They're 2 different things.
So the 8 weeks does include procurement of the component parts, and they're putting everything together, testing.
Exactly.
8 weeks.
Exactly.
For all our electoral data.
Pardon?
You can create a data center which will store all this electoral data, And you can do it within 8 weeks.
So that's what I'm saying, that you need to decouple the different component parts of that figure that we are talking about. Okay? There's the data center physical infrastructure, where you build your physical infrastructure, your racks where your servers go in, electricity, cabling, cooling, etc. All those things. And then there are the actual servers. They don't need to follow each other. So if you do proper planning, you can acquire your servers, start the installation process in a staging area, and then move them into production when you are ready.
I see. So you use 8 weeks to build it.
That's the
Let's
plan.
wrap up by this calendar. So 18th April, registration begins.
Mm-hmm.
End of April, 31st, we finish. Then you leave a few days for what you call mop-up. I think that's what they said. Let me just get that information. So 8,000 registration devices, 32,000 polling stations, 10 days in each cluster, because you are using a cluster system. 43 days of registration, 16th April to 31st May. 5-day mopping up. Reopening for exhibition August 15 to 28. And this process will include the facial recognition. All of this.
Yeah.
Okay. And you are pretty certain that logistically you are ready to do this. How many IT staff does EC have? I finished. How many IT staff? Because you told us that you're not going to use any vendor or any, so it means that you have your people you are using. So what's the size of EC staff?
I can't give you exact numbers.
EC IT staff. You don't.
I can't give you exact numbers.
How many people are you going to train?
Well,
to do this work,
you know that essentially all the registration officers will be trained. Okay, so we have a training, a directorate for training that does that. And then we also have so essentially this is the model that we are going to take. We are going to have training of the trainers, and then the trainers will then go and train the regular registration staff who do this work.
Okay. Let me read some quick comments for you. Bernard, unless your guest is talking about server rooms, he cannot do a data center in 8 weeks. A data center includes civil works, procurement, electrical, power, cooling, physical security. It's not possible to do that in 8 weeks.
Bernard,
so I don't know a server room, a data center.
Talking about a data center, and
you do it in 8 weeks.
People ought to know,
yes,
the physical infrastructure is already in place.
Hey,
yes,
it's already in place.
The physical infrastructure is already in place. So it's just a question.
You've already built it. It means I think that you are doing it.
No, but
it means already
no. Don't forget that the EC already had a data center.
But the other question that came up was that one.
You need to decouple the physical infrastructure from the actual data center.
So you don't do civil works. You just buy the stuff, do electricals and power connections.
Exactly.
Connect the cooling.
Power already is available on site.
No problem. The question I need to ask, people are saying that one of the reasons why the devices you have, they are not working the way you want is storage. And the question is, how does EC store these devices? Do you have where is your storage?
So there's a warehouse. And yes, we agree that storage does have an effect on the lifespan of those devices. And that is one of the things that is being addressed as well. Bernard,
address Ajay with his doctor title. He's a medical doctor as well, but he's passionate about technology. Sharp guy, Papa Kwesi, Tema Committee 5. Okay, good for you. You're a doctor.
That's correct, yeah.
Walking to the warehouse of the EC doesn't justify anything. It only means people do not protect public property. How can equipment used less than 10 times all of a sudden break down? Safasini Rashid. Good morning, Bernard. I want you to keep this recording at a handy place. We'll all go back and listen after they've procured the new devices. And we'll hear another argument just years after this election. I'm sure by God's grace we'll be alive by then. Nick Inokfanko. Good morning, City team. Listening to the EC man in the studio, ask these questions. 1. Do banks call all their customers to line up because of a new system? 2. Is it the BVR machine that needs the upgrade or the data? That's a good question. 3. Can the data be transferred to the new system or the BVR? So that's the question. So can't you get the new system and still use the old electoral data?
So we are using some of the old electoral data. And if you look at the steps that we've outlined for the registration process, all those who already have a biometric card, a voter ID card, need not go through the same processes as the new ones who are going to be enrolled onto the system. So it's just a question of presenting yourself to a registration officer, show them your voter ID number, because you already have your details and your biometrics are captured. You get a new card and you walk away.
Really?
Yes. And mind you, that can be done anywhere, not necessarily your polling station where you are registered at, because you already have your polling station code or number.
Can the data be transferred to a new system? Okay, Nana B. Bernard, does it mean that the storage facility of the EC and their maintenance is so poor to be replaced in the BVD so often? That's the question.
And I think that we've answered that. I think we've identified that storage is also one of the problems that has decreased the lifespan of the devices. And so steps have been taken to ensure that the storage environments and where these things are kept are put in.
As the expert, can they buy new machines and use the old ones as backup?
I think we've answered that already.
Did you say yes or no to that?
That's, I mean...
You can't use the old ones as backup. So throw all the old ones away. Can't you even resell it to somebody?
It's something that is being considered. It's something that's being considered.
I see.
Yeah.
The AC's clamor for new registration system stems from the fact that they hastily cancelled the contracts with the previous vendor without thinking through the new consequences of their actions. All the reasons they are now adducing are an afterthought, just in Sakumono. But now the point is that the EC's hands are tied by the promise of political party to change the register. That's why they keep rechanging the argument. Bernard, seriously, the EC guy is making me angry. These guys should take Ghanaians serious in the way they waste our tax money. If they need to upgrade the system, why should they waste our money and our precious time fighting and queuing just to place a register? Bernard, good morning. You are doing a good job. Kindly press the guy to make available the consultant report for the new machines. We all want Ghana to have the best. Good morning, Bernard. As the IT man, would we have to queue to write our names anytime the AC would be changing their VVR and BVD? What is the lifespan of my biometric data with them? Citizen K. Ima in Sunyani. Did you address that?
Yes, we did.
So I just go to my old voter ID, but they'll still capture my data.
The only thing that they capture will be your fingerprints and your facial record.
I see. The rest is already in their system. So you are just upgrading.
We are updating the system.
So it means that the time I spend will not be as much as
very minimal.
Because the last time in 2011, 2012, we had to actually queue.
Yes.
And we'll spend at least 20 minutes per person.
Yes. And the point you are making is that we are making it such that because you already have your biometric, your bio data, the only thing that is being acquired is like going for.
So just two other things: my facial and my fingerprint.
That's
so
all.
I'll spend like 10 minutes there,
and you don't have to go to your polling station to do that. So people don't have to travel back to their villages and towns to have that process done.
Okay.
It can be done.
Why is it that in Ghana we like the complex which we have little capacity to effectively manage when the simple works? Even the advanced countries that develop these systems don't use them in their elections. This is Foster. By the way, the cost of election persisting in Ghana is more than most Western countries. Okay. Good morning, Bernard. The guy in the studio is only struggling to defend his ignorance. Prince from Isiaim. Prince, I think that's not fair. If he's not ignorant. Good morning, Bernard and team. The reason for a new register is really not convincing, and all the arguments so far have been disproved by some experts. The question is, what at all justify this huge amount of money they are so bent to spend? Jones Adoboy in La. Bernard, the gentleman should leave the studio if he can't answer your question. Please ask him what is vendor neutrality and won't that go contrary to his vendor lock-in? Bernard, this easy problem is that they are behaving like they are doing their own private thing. They should know that it's public work they are doing and it's our money. We are serious. This is bright. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Bernard.
I'm sure we'll talk again as the process continues because we need to explain what's happening. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.